Good morning, Praveen sir and Karthik sir, and this thing is coming in Tamil. Comicstaan is a brand in itself, and when it comes to comedy shows and stand-up comedy is an art. I would want to know and ask both of you that what can we expect differently in this Tamil version, and also another question that I would want to ask both of you is that in today's time, people kind of get upset very easily with respect to stand-up comedians. I think they are a very easy target, and they can be actually framed into something which they should not be framed as. So I want to get your viewpoints on both the questions, starting with you, Praveen sir.
So, number one difference between this Comicstaan and other Comicstaan is the language, and that's the major difference. I think I don't think any other difference is there except for the number of contestants and the judges. The process and the whole thing is the same. The contestants will come and participate. The judges slash mentors will mentor them on different rounds, and they perform. We give marks, and audience also give their marks, and it's a consolidated marks will be given to them. And there's not much of a difference between the first two seasons of English slash Hindi Comicstaan and Tamil Comicstaan, except for the language. The idea is to reach to the maximum number of people in the regional language sector, right? So that's why I think we started doing in Tamil, and the idea is to reach non-stand-up comedy fans and make them into one. So that's the whole idea. And the second question, we are soft targets, easy targets, and we are also making fun of others in the sense we are punching upwards, like we talk a little bit about politics or Bollywood or whatever it is. And audience have the equal rights to make fun of us because we are out there in the open. But if we genuinely make a mistake, pointing at us is fine. If it is not a genuine mistake, then it's a problem, but we cannot control everything in our hands. So what we can do is just ignore and move on, and we should be true to our conscience. That's all.
Absolutely. And Karthik sir, what about your viewpoint?
I think as far as the difference between Comicstaan, the Hindi and the Tamil is the fact that you can understand a lot of cultural context from a certain language. All right. Yeah. So people who watch the show right now will understand the mentality and mindset of a youngster in Tamil Nadu as such. And I think there is humor is one of the easiest ways you can break that mental barrier of what a young person in Tamil Nadu is like. And you'll realize they're a lot like a person in Bombay or in Delhi or in even a small town like Kanpur or Nagpur. So there will be a certain similarity, but at the same time, you will find that there is something uniquely different about the cultural identity of the people here. And more importantly, I think it is that the deconstruction of comedy, which is what I've realized a lot of Comicstaan viewers like. They become, after watching binging two seasons, they become experts at deconstructing comedy. All right, and you will realize that the Tamil scheme of things has a very peculiar way in which stand-up comedy has grown here, because it's been actually almost independently growing off the Bombay and Delhi sectors. All right, Bombay has been a hub for stand-up comedy and has its own arc, whereas the South Indian cities of Bangalore and Chennai have had an independent arc of Bombay, because it's at no point of time did a Tamil comedian ever or a person of the Chennai origin ever go and perform in Hindi in Bombay. All right. So we've always been a kind of isolated landscape of sorts, and you will get to see the way comedy can be deconstructed here as well. There will be similarities, but there will also be peculiarities in which we have understood stand-up comedy to evolve in the South Indian space. And I think just if Comicstaan audiences from Hindi enjoyed watching the deconstruction of it, I think hearing the judges, the way they, take apart a certain construction would be very interesting for Comicstaan Hindi audiences to watch as well. All right, so I think that is possibly unique about it. Second is the second question you asked is, I think it's a huge compliment to be taken seriously as comedians. Like if we are worth trolling and if we are worth making a campaign about. It is because of the essential nature of the craft that is stand-up comedy, because we are essentially truth tellers, and we we drop uncomfortable truths in the form of comedy. All right, and that kind of pushes the envelope or shakes the establishment a bit. All right, and therefore shooting back at
I'm
us.
sorry to interrupt. If I'm not wrong, you were earlier quoted as saying that if you do not like comedy, or if you do not like a certain nature of comedy, you're more than free to go away.
Yeah,
So is that
absolutely.
what you actually believe in, both of you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's free market and free choice. But if you're going to stay back and engage with us in a way that you find us objectionable and you want us to not exist, I think that's the beginning of a rebellious conversation, and that's interesting as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I also agree, because if you don't like, just move away. And if you don't like this particular form of comedy, follow others and just unfollow. But if you keep coming and commenting, saying that you don't like, you wanted to sound cool in front of others, saying others are liking, but I'm not liking, I'm cool in that way. Or you have specific criteria, specific hatred for that particular person. You're just proving it to others, saying that I don't like his comedy, I don't like her comedy, I don't like his style, but I'll keep commenting. I won't unfollow. I'll be like a leech, commenting, sitting and
I will
commenting.
watch it, I'll see it, but then I'll still criticize just for the sake of it.
Exactly.
But both of you, sir, there's this very interesting pattern, and it's kind of a conflict between, I would say, generations. Because on one hand, there's this generation who believe that, this kind of comedy, which with a bit of political satire, or maybe a bit of sexualized humor, this kind of comedy works in a certain generation. On the other hand, say a generation maybe senior to us, they believe in the Mahmood nature of comedy. So they kind of feel that yes, some political satire, sexualized comedy, it is just forcefully done. So what do you have to say to these kind of people who have this kind of a feeling? Because you got to just move on with generations, and things will come in new. You got to adapt yourself. But some people do not. That's the only thing that they do is criticize. So what do you have to say to those kind of people who believe that?
Yeah, I say it's not only generation. Even among the same generation, also there will be different kind of a taste. So some people might like political satire, some people like sarcastic humor, some people will like body language, slapstick humor. So among the same generation itself, there will be a lot of choices and taste. So humor is subjective, right? So I see it's not only based on generation, it's based on how you grew up, how the society around you and all this stuff forms your taste for humor. Even if you if you see in Tamil movies, there are a lot of comedians, and not even a single comedian is liked by everybody. Right?
Absolutely.
There will be people who don't like, even if that person is extremely famous and extremely uh, high, highly earning, but that person might not be liked by everybody. So comedy is subjective, and that's how it is, and we have to accept.
Absolutely. What do you have to say on that, Karthik sir? Do you want to add anything on that?
I think, I mean, that's a generational difference that is completely acceptable, and it's not meant to be invalidated as such, because I've never seen an old person say Justin Bieber is my jam. It's intrinsically not possible, right? So at the same time, having said that, I wish there are a lot more stand-up comics from an older segment coming into the fray, because then they will be able to adequately represent the voice of that age group of people. The fact that stand-up comedy is right now restricted to younger people is I hope to believe that I wish to believe that it's only temporary, and that will change, because different sects of society have to be represented with an appropriate voice. This is different sects across caste and class and gender and age. And once that happens, you will find that stand-up comedy is a very, very expressive, and it's a venting medium. It's a very, very positive vent, because at the end of the day, at the end of the vent, you're only seeking to make people laugh and think a little. So that will change once you have boomer comedians as well.
Absolutely.
I'm close to becoming one, so hey.
And I think you both mentioned a very valid point that obviously Mumbai has always been the hub, but now that it's going regionally, I mean, a lot of new talents will be coming up, so which is very important in any form of art. Last question to both of you before I wrap up is the fact that a lot of aspiring or budding stand-up comedians who probably are in their initial years of trying stand-up comedy, they kind of have this tendency, which is observed, I'm not saying everybody does that, but on a larger scale, it is observed that they feel that stand-up comedy is about insulting people. the more you insult, the more you can generate humor. That is what a lot of people feel. But that I don't think is the case with the actual art. So I would want to, get some tips from both of you regarding how youngsters who are actually going forward or thinking of a career in stand-up comedy should draw the thin line of distinction between insult and comedy. How can they do that?
Let me start this off by saying that it's the rebellious nature of young people. They're constantly being told what not to do, and their first opportunity on stage is to pull down an establishment. They will tend to do it and feel cool about it, right? As you get older, you will get the note of that anti-establishment feeling will change. You'll become cynical. You will become less active and energetic about it, but you'll become more sardonic and sarcastic about it. All right. So it is not. I don't believe that youngsters want to do it because it's cool to do. Youngsters want to do it because it's the only vent they have where they can pull down all the things that they consider establishments. Whether it's the government, whether it's the government inside their home, whether it's the government inside their school, they want to pull it down, and there is a certain latent anger. And I think humor is a great vent for it. But I think it won't even take you 1 or 2 years in comedy saying insult comedy to yaar भर चुका हूं, बस इतना कर चुका हूं मैं, इससे ज्यादा नहीं होगा, बस बोर हो गया हूं मैं. You will change your note of humor because you can't play an orchestra with just 2 to 3 notes. You need to learn sa re ga, and then you got to go to ma pa and all that, right? So you have to evolve, and evolution is a natural process. So I won't tell them not to do it. I'll tell them saying vent whichever way you want to, man. Be genuine to your own vent.
Absolutely. And what do you have to say on that, sir?
Almost the same thing, because I'm saying insult humor is not a bad humor unless it is done in a distasteful way. If it is done in a tasteful way, it's okay. It's that is one genre of humor until the audience are enjoying it. If the audience are enjoying it without squirming on your seat, that is fine. But as you said, as a comedian, you evolve, you mature, right? You cannot keep.
Balance my phone. I'm really sorry.
No problem. So what I was telling is, as a comedian, you evolve, you mature, and you cannot keep doing the same thing again and again. Yeah. You understand the craft. See, because when you start as a comedian, you don't know how the whole thing works. All you have is that insult humor in you. You just keep venting it out, and at one point you realize that's not the only thing. Comedy has to offer a lot of things to the comedian, and the comedian has to offer a lot of things to his audience. So it's a give and take thing. So he understands, he or she matures, evolves as a comedian, and then start doing other forms of humor. But I'm saying insult humor is good enough if it is done in a tasteful way, not in a way that audience starts squirming on the seat.
Absolutely. And, I thought that would be the last question, but then at the end of the day, we're talking about Comicstaan. So how can we not talk about, the show in itself? You both have been great stalwarts in the field of stand-up comedy. There are a lot of young talents who are going to be coming in. So I'm pretty sure you people have your own ways and thoughts regarding mentoring them. So how do you actually plan to mentor them so that, they can take the culture of comedy, stand-up comedy forward in our country?
We have done that in this show. There were 6 contestants. We have done mentoring for them. So mentoring, the major thing of mentoring is keeping up with their style and persona and just giving inputs. We cannot entrust our ideas or our style or our persona onto them and change them into a mini you. So this is up to their personality, their style of humor, their persona on stage. We just have to give inputs and mold them, saying this is how it should be done in your style. So I think mentoring is, we are, as a mentor, we are responsible in creating that persona in them than pushing our persona into them.
Absolutely. What about you, sir? What do you plan to do?
I think maintaining that unique identity and helping them find a way in which they can express what they want to say. I think finding that process was the most meaningful thing. And I don't think we had this much of perspective about ourselves. And it's, the essential part of that is when you are able to see 6 other contestants and see 6 different people, you're able to identify the strengths in each of them, and also at some level feel like, hey, these are also my strengths. This is interesting. It's a self-reflective process, and literally in these 8 episodes, you will see a comedian bloom and evolve, and that's been the natural byproduct of this first season. And the audiences will be able to discern, saying, "My God, look at the growth within 8 episodes," right? And that is just a reminder to ourselves, saying learning is constant, and all of us need to put ourselves through it. And we are so damn bloody jealous that these youngsters get this opportunity to be on a format and program like Comicstaan. And I hope this launches another 100 comics in the second season and 1,000 in the third season, because this is the fastest fuel that can move this movement as such.
As you said correctly, that learning never has any ending. So I hope all the contestants get to learn a lot from both of you. And thank you so much for talking to me over here on IWMBuzz. It's a pleasure. मुझे बहुत मजा आया, and I wish you all the best for everything that you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All the best.
Bye.
Thank you.